welcome everybody. Round two. It's going to be different than last year. What I think would be a process that we would hold is I would like to actually go through ethics for the New Millennium chapter by chapter with you for the sheer joy, and this is something you're familiar with, small groups, pulling out concepts and so on, for the sheer joy of discovery. So that's one piece of it. I think that's linear, predictable in the sense that the learning is unpredictable, but the process is predictable, and it's one you're familiar with. The second thing we know is we have a body of work that's been done. These are the notes, double-sided, okay? They're really good. They're summaries of the chapters, they're bullet points for the chapters, and then there's also a bit of curriculum stuff in there, but this was first round. This was done in 2007. Then we had a couple of more years in there where we actually started to build curriculum. And then we did three things. We have the ebook, we have the ethicality, which is the blog where we can have discussions about stuff that's in the book. And in a sense, I'd like to maybe even try that out since it's already formed as we go through, is that actually is where if we have writing assignments on different subject areas, if we agree those are still the subject areas, you can actually post to that blog. Then we also have the wall of kindness. So I think that's basically what we think we know. And it's an experiment. And senior year seems to be an eternal experiment. I think we have some challenges in the school this year where I think loving kindness and support is going to make a big difference. And I think if you're actually paying attention to that and showing up for that, it will greatly reduce your own anxiety and worry. Because as you all have read by now, the Dalai Lama said if 80% of your suffering goes away when you become concerned about the suffering of others.
Something I'm just curious about is this trip is so much different from DC, just how DC was really intellectually testing, but this trip is so much more emotional, I feel like, and you're seeing things that you've never experienced before. So it's going to be very unique in that, and I'm interested to see how we're going to react to that.
But we had ideas of what we would expect from the class from other students saying what they did, because we followed the same textbook. But this class, I feel like every class does their own thing, depending on what they're interested in. So I'm just curious on what we are going to come up with.
What I want you to do, I hope you will be mindful of your own experience going through this incredible rite of passage that you're going through. So let's go into groups of three. Let's pull out what we think were significant concepts that struck you in chapter one. Yeah, we're going to go through chapter by chapter. I think that will be useful to us because we need to go to some depth here. If we're going to improve on what's been started, we got to go to depth.
And correspondingly to intolerance of alternate views.
Something that I really liked in the first chapter, but he says, a revolution is called for, certainly, but not a political or economic or even a technical revolution. We have had enough experience of these during the past century to know that a purely external approach will not suffice. What I propose is a spiritual revolution. And that really caught my attention because I think really a lot of the problems that we have personally and as a community come from within. And it's kind of you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. I think a lot of times people, when they hear spiritual, they automatically just assume religious. Yeah. And especially in America, I think we have we talked about in world religions how it seems like in a lot of communities we seem to be moving away from institutionalized religion, and people are almost putting up a barrier to it and they don't want to. So how do we kind of change
society's perspective on what spiritual really means.
So I think you raise a good point. When the Dalai Lama says we need a spiritual revolution, I so get it. And I think Caitlin, your comments are so pertinent to that, is that we need that self-understanding, right? Because if we don't have self-understanding, we're going to commit all kinds of things to the people around us without being accountable. You know, if we're going to have a revolution, let's have a spiritual revolution. Stop harming each other, right? But what does spiritual mean? Chris?
I think, for me at least, being spiritual means to like be at peace with yourself, or at least trying to get there. So, you know, you're confident with who you are and not like warring inside between two different.
Yeah, I think like just simply everyone's universal value is to be happy. Because I feel like if you ask anyone in the world, they'd want to be happy. So it kind of ties into what the Dalai Lama is saying about happiness and like finding it.
Our last interview about how all religion is fundamentally the same and how they have these things like compassion and don't kill other people. And I think that even if you're not religious, there are things that fundamentally people are brought up on, and that everyone does have those really simple universal truths, and how they manifest in everyone's life can be different, but I think that they are all trying to follow these things.